And we're back to another episode of Let's Play Shining Force Final Conflict. I'm your host, the RPG Guy, and I think we're just going to move forward. I've done only this battle once, and I thought about it for a little bit, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just keep moving. We're over level 10 promoted, meaning most of our characters have 30 levels plus. You know, Howl's got a freeze level 4. We have our long-range casting available to us via our casters. So I'm thinking at this point of the game, you know, Ian's at 15 of 20. So characters are very much gradually getting to the end of their promotional lines. Or as far as the game's really going to allow them to grow. They can continue to grow all the way up to 20, but we promoted them at level 17. Was pretty much where we promoted them, and at this point it just makes sense to kind of move on. So there'll be 3 levels of technical max level, but like I said, in these Shining games, max leveling characters is completely unnecessary, regardless of what Shining game you're playing. There's never a reason objectively to do it. You just do it because you want to. Whereas there are many people who promote as early as they can and then level their characters to 20 that way. And strangely enough, you can still beat the game, because no Shining game that I have had the luxury to play has ever really been that difficult. And I don't mean to sound negative towards the series, but again, you can grind in these games, and ultimately you're gonna, you know, you still get challenges because 2 of the 3 enemy types here have breath weapons. A lot of magic is getting haphazardly flung around, which, much like Shining Force 1, was really what made Shining Force 1, you know, by endgame very difficult, is that all these enemies are flinging around very powerful magic spells and breath attacks that your defense no longer matters. Okay, and that's, some people like that element to these games, some people don't. But it does mean that you have to be very careful even if you are over-leveled, and your strategies really aren't going to change all that much because of 3 levels of growth. They're just not going to change to anything substantial. So I'm, you know, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, you know, if you guys want to see me do a max level run with every character at max level, I have actually done a study, one of the little leveling studies, just to give you guys that experience. I've only done it twice with almost identical results, which is why I didn't bother even wasting time making a video on my secondary results, and not a lot of people are that interested in Shining Force Final Conflict, for reasons I don't know why, because this is a fun game and I love the story in it. So but there's reasons why people aren't that interested in it. But beyond that, getting, you know, further from that, because that's just not pointless to even talk about really at the moment, where we've come to in this franchise, or not, I don't even know why I would even bring that up, where we came with the franchise, but it's definitely, again, when people say what are really good entry-level tactical RPG games to play, I hands down always default to Shining Force. Breath of Fire Emblem games can be a little trickier, but to me they're also a little less interesting as far as the way that they're designed and the way that they're laid out. I've never been a Fire Emblem fan over the Shining games, and actually that inspires me a bit. I've not done a Fire Emblem game of any kind yet, and I should, just to kind of give my opinions, because at this point I've done every Shining Force game, tactical Shining Force game, except for the Shining Force 3 series. I've streamed Shining Force 3, but I've never actually done Let's Plays of it. So that might be something I aspire to doing for you guys. I could finish up with Shining Force 3, but a part of me wants to save that, you know, because I want, you know, that recovery kind of mentality that I have. Really quick, I grabbed the chest here with the ground axe, so that's why Paige's movement is just so incredible. For anybody wondering, he has 8 movement, mainly because we gave him the pepper. He's got that. We could put the mobility ring on him to bump it up to 10, I think. But there's no point, and I don't know if that doubles up or not. It might not double up, but strangely enough, yeah, you could have a character, because the ground axe gives him 1 extra movement, and we gave him the running pepper from earlier. So anyway, so yeah, if you'd like to see me play Fire Emblem games, let me know. in the comments below. There's a lot of them. Far more Fire Emblem games than there are Shining games. So there is an element to it that I might say, well, where to start? Where does one begin? And here's the thing, if I start from the beginning of the franchise, which I could easily do, I'm going to want to directly compare it to Shining Force, the first Shining Force. But those games are, you know, several years apart from each other. If my memory serves me right, I'm not as versed in Fire Emblem, the history of the Fire Emblem franchise, so don't quote me on too much of that. But it would be, I have played most of them at one point or another, just out of the sheer curiosity that I have for the franchise. So there's a big element of it that I would want to play, that I do want to play, so I can, you know, compare and contrast, and maybe even do a video talking about my opinions of Fire Emblem, because I do own many Fire Emblem games, and I've played most of them growing up. I still have some of the Japanese carts as well. I just never got into the series as much as I did Shining, and I think for me, the Shining series, the reason why I think I was more into the Shining series, for anybody that's actually curious, is the presentation, the variety that the game offered in its world development always kept me engaged. I don't think that the Fire Emblem game's world development kept me that engaged. Which, that's a personal issue, and that's a personal preference for that matter, too. So there's by no means saying, but there is a very strong, determined, and easily insulted group of Fire Emblem fans out there. And I'm not insulting Fire Emblem. These were two franchises that were in direct competition. And to be fair, a lot of people never got to play the original Fire Emblem games in the US, so to compare the original Fire Emblem games to the Shining games is not really objectively important, because unless you lived in very unique situations, you never got to experience those games. And I'm not going to use my experience as the experience everybody in the 80s and 90s had growing up. It's not true. Okay? Yes, I had access to Fire Emblem. I had one friend who actually was curious about them. And he was Japanese, and he was a Japanese kid in the 90s who recognized the series. You know, he went through when we would sit down, he'd go through my Famicom games, and he was like, oh yeah, Fire Emblem, I know that. He didn't even say it that way, he would just, you know, but you get my point. He had a very distinct way of, you know, I had a very unique upbringing, so to make that comparison is completely pointless. But yes, I do want to do some of the Fire Emblem games sometime in the near future. I think I'm going to save for what I plan on doing next. It's probably not a Fire Emblem game, but I'll let you guys know at the end of this Let's Play what's coming up. I haven't fully decided yet on what I want to do. I just know there's a handful of things I want to do. Chances are it's probably going to be something I had planned on doing in the past and then had to kind of bail out of because of various time-consuming reasons and things like that, and the mode in which I needed to do it, and then, oh hey, guess what, I'm gone for 3 weeks, and I come back and I'm like, what the hell was I doing? And, you know, it's like you're sitting there going, I know what I'm supposed to do, but the elements of the story and the humor and the mockery and that I do, or like the critical thinking is kind of gone because the earlier parts of the game are no longer fresh in your mind because you took 3 weeks off because of work. And, you know, it's like, if I did this for a living, I would never allow that to happen. But since I don't do this for a living, I have to do the best I can with the time that I have. So I do appreciate many of you that have been very patient for certain series to get Let's Plays, right? Because there are many of you who have littered my comment section in the community page in the past, and then clearly YouTube redid it for a lot of us a long time ago. But many of you sent me DMs asking if I would play certain games, and I have never really ultimately said no. I've just said I don't know when I'll get to it, because there are a lot of games I want to play that are not you know, that I may have talked negative about, or I don't talk a lot about. You know, I've had that brought up to me. You never really talk about Fire Emblem, and I'm like, well, I know I don't really enjoy Fire Emblem as much as I do the Shining games. And again, I'm going to, because I enjoy the Shining games, I'm going to make that the due diligence to ensure that I do Let's Plays of all the games I love is really what I like to do first, with a few exceptions. Or series that I really want to promote, like Lunar. People ask me, why'd you do Lunar? Nobody knows Lunar. And I'm like, because I love Lunar. And the guy who said nobody knows Lunar, he liked Lunar too, but he was like, you should be trying to build your fans, and you're not going to build them with a very obscure game. And I said, fine, then I'll do Beyond the Beyond and really fuck with people. No, joke aside, I should do Beyond the Beyond, which is made by Camelot. And was the precursor, many argue, to the Golden Sun games, which, again, I want to do those too. We'll get to those. We'll get to it. We're just not there, my friend. We will get there. So many games, and I'm just one man. One man. One story. One brewski. I'm just kidding. I'm being hyperbolic, too. My goal is to get to all that stuff. I still gotta do a Blue Dragon Let's Play. Oh, God, Blue Dragon. I can't right now, because Hobo's got my Xbox 360 for our Lost Odyssey Let's Play along, so... But yeah, I got a Lost Odyssey Let's Play. But I do need to do Blue Dragon. I need to get to that. I want to do the Tenchu series. Maybe break away from some RPGs for a little bit. Definitely considering Tenchu. From the beginning, even, if I must. I love those games. I might actually start from the PS2 generation of them, but I do have a soft spot for the original Tenchu stealth assassin game. So, no qualms for me there. And then there's even newer stuff I'd like to do Let's Plays of, like Red Dead Redemption 2 and, you know, Ghost of Tsushima, you know, things like that. Persona 5 and 4 and 3. And 2 and 1 for that matter. All the Persona games, Shin Megami Tensei games. I need to find a time to start working on that series. I've been asked time and time again, do you like the Suikoden series? And my answer is yes, I love the Suikoden series, or Suikoden, or Sekuden. I've heard it pronounced many different ways. I love that series. I'm not a big fan of the one with the boats. I think it's the fourth one, but I love all the other ones very deeply. So many series. What about Xenogears and Xenosaga? Yes, I want to get to those eventually. I'm not a big fan of the newest installments of them. I'm just not really into those action ones, so those may take me quite some time to get to. Xenoblade Chronicles and stuff. I'm just not that interested. And then, of course, I want to finish out the primary 4 Phantasy Star series. So and right now, all that's left is Phantasy Star 4. So I got to get through that at some point too. Some of you are probably excited to hear some of those titles. I need to start the Breath of Fire series. I've been putting that off for a long time. I've streamed actually all of them except the 4th one over the years. So that's a cool little tidbit of info you might find interesting. But I've never actually done Let's Plays of them, so I should really make a time to get that started. Though many argue you just go right to the 3rd one, but there's a little bit of value in the early installments that are actually pretty good. There's no reason to just blatantly skip them. And they're not necessarily very long games either, so reluctant to just skip them. I'm debating in my head though, which version do I want to do? The Famicom version, or I'm sorry, not the Famicom version. The Super Nintendo versions, or go into like the remakes that kind of fix a lot of the issues that were in the originals. Probably gonna do that. Maybe there's a Game Boy Advance series of them that actually worked out quite well. Not committed to that, but it's something for me to consider. So like I said, I've been putting a lot of consideration into what I do next. As far as the simulation games go, there was a request for more PC, multiple requests rather, for me to do more PC Building Simulator, the DLCs and the expansions. Again, I haven't gotten around to it. That might be something I pull out next. and get started, because those are very long Let's Play series. And for those of you who don't know, I fell behind due to illness and a couple other outstanding issues. Yeah, I didn't think so. And due to being ill, a lot had to change. A lot got changed in my video releasing schedule. So, and I do apologize for that, you know. But I'm still recovering from when I got COVID, strangely enough. And it was, I will say, as a person who had it was definitely uneventful. But it left me with my grandmother used to call it walking pneumonia, but it's not pneumonia. It's post-nasal drip, and it gets into your throat, and you can't. It's what causes the coughing. But yeah, my grandmother used to call it walking pneumonia because it's like you're constantly coughing, like you're incredibly ill, yet you're not really that sick. Which I wasn't sick at all. You know, fever was gone. I was no longer contagious, which is really the more important thing to take from getting COVID. Was I had it. I'm a caretaker for my father in a way, you know, part-time, and he didn't get sick. Nobody got sick, and it was for as much hype as there was around it. At least where I live, many of you know I live in Hermosa Beach, California, and, you know, very, you know, outspoken area over the coof, as they call it, in a sense. There's a lot of outspokenness about it. It was relatively uneventful and mild, and I'm glad I didn't have it as badly as others did. And that's all there. And there's a lot of health factors that probably go into why it didn't affect me as badly as others. And we'll leave it at that. There's no reason to go any deeper into a discussion upon that. So, not really, not in any significant way. I made my peace. I made my point, rather. So, but yeah, so that put me further behind on top of work. I had a big work thing I had to do, and that put me behind as well. So a lot of you have asked if I ever will, or when. Most of you just say when. When am I going to do a Patreon? I'm going to work on it once I'm a little more caught up with the simulation show, because that is, I believe, at the time of making this video, the simulation stuff has significantly fallen behind. I'm trying to keep the RPG stuff in full swing, so there's no issues down the road that are not being addressed, right? So that way, once that starts getting caught up, I'm hoping by the end of summer I can put up a Patreon for you guys, because I'm one of those adamant individuals that all the money ever fundraised through the Twitch channel, through any channel that I've ever had, which I only have 2 YouTube channels, and the other one's dead. I don't use it at all, and I don't ever promote it or anything like that, but it does exist. As a precursor pretty much to the live stream show. I stopped worrying about that kind of stuff anyway. But what came of it is really that, or at least at the point that I'm sitting at personally, or my stance is that any money that ever goes to the show gets invested into the show. I don't pocket it. I don't disperse it amongst everyone so they can get loaded and drunk. We do it for fun. We do it for the love of gaming and all of that stuff, from the Chairman of the Board show to the Hobo Head Crab show. You know, and there are people who have gone above and beyond the call of duty. Then there's no duty, rather, the call, or just the generosity and the appreciation that they feel that they want to give a monetary amount because they want to see the channel grow and evolve and do more things. And yeah, there's a lot of that I would love to do. But like I said, you know, most of the money that's gone into the channel is my own, and I put a lot of work into what I've done. And yes, there are people that are doing more, and they have a lot of monetary backing that I don't have, and that's that's their deal. And I'm not looking to get that. So what's the point of even bringing it up? And it's like, there are people who are expecting that. That would, not expecting, I'm sorry. That would like me to achieve what those other guys are doing. And I totally, fully understand that. Just not there. You know, and yes, I could do it by throwing a crap ton of money at it. But I don't feel that it's the time commitment and getting it done that's the bigger problem. Look at that, Sonic just freaking soloed Max. So there you go. Master Max. And I'm trying to remove Max's mask, but the mask did not come off. What's the mask? That's the Mask of Darkness. You can't remove it unless you're a devil. Ooh. Who are you? I am Oddeye, but I don't know if that's a good thing for you. Now, I'll remove that mask that covers... I'll remove the mask that covers his face myself. This mask is protected by the powers of darkness, but it's possible for a devil to remove it. I'll give it a try. What? The mask of darkness that covered Max's face shattered into tiny pieces. It seems as if I've been able to help him, so I shall leave. Please wait a minute. You said the Mask of Darkness could only be removed by a devil. That means you're a devil, so why did you help Master Max? I'm indeed a devil. My master Xeon, the king of the devils. Long ago, my master Xeon was ensnared and sealed beneath the ground. Darksol is your enemy, and he's my enemy too. I want him defeated. That's my only purpose. I talk too much. Farewell, then. Perhaps it was you who helped the Elder to escape from Aiku's fortress. Adam, I didn't expect the new Shining Force to become so dependable. Master Max, Ian has guided us so far. So, it was you. I'm ashamed to say they put that mask on me when I was defeated in a fight with Lynx. Curses, it can't be that I had the same fate as my brother Kane. At least we've put an end to it now. How could this happen to both Max and Kane? Nevertheless, you've skillfully made it this far. I was afraid, but thanks to you, it seems like we'll be able to go home. With that much power, Ian, perhaps we really can't stop the Devil's revival. Ian, may I too join the new Shining Force? That's right. Max is in our party. That will reassure the group, Ian. We should make haste and move on. Ian, are you prepared to depart for battle? Yes. So let's take a look at Max. So we have our two final characters, both of them at level 60. With, you know, so they are 60 attack rather. Movement, you know, whatever. Agility's good on Max for that matter as well. However, there are some things to consider. Ian's at 77 with 54. You know, Paige is 76, 53. You know, that's why Kojiro is a good option if you want to do what I did for Paige and you just want to do it to him. He would catch up to Paige very quickly, melee-wise. But Paige is already there, and we could work on him and have more control. The thing that comes into question is Max. Let's take a look at Max more closely. He carries the critical sword and the Sword of Darkness, which we will not use. His MP is only 25 with Bolt 3, so he's really pretty much the same build as Ian, for better and for worse. As interesting as it is to want to use Max, there's not really a reason to use Max. Sasuke and Ruberin are both better Bolt users, and their melee attacks are already better than Max. The weakest link here is Eric at this point. Even Eric and Minto are our two weakest link members for sure. Minto has functionality. Eric can fly. Okay? But at the end of the day, you know, who's worth it more? And that ability to fly is actually losing, in a sense, losing its validity. Now, who's more relevant between these two? Max has a better movement. Koichiro, not really better unless we build him up a bit more. But a solid replacement, 60-40 versus 61-36. Yeah, Max is objectively better. And we can put the quick ring on Max. For laughs, maybe we'll do that. You know what? The last two battles don't necessarily require a flying unit. So, for you guys at home who want to see Max in all of his glory, we'll put in Max. And there's another passive reason to do that too, but it's just the way things turned out. Kind of makes sense to just put Max in, so you guys can experience the Max. The healing seed is fine right there. Let's equip, and just because his agility is garbage, we can make it a little better. We also have a brave apple to fling about. This is the time to do it. I'm either gonna give it to Howl or Cynthia. I don't think Cynthia needs it so much, and Howl's relevance is gonna start tapering off here by this point of the game. Could also give it to Ian, because his level's pretty high as is. Ooh, or I could give it to Minto. What is it? Okay, let's figure this out really quick. What is her 2 next level? Pretty far. Yeah, we'll give it to her, because I still kind of want to use her. We might luck out and she might learn a new spell. Probably not with my luck. Nope. But that settles that. All right, let's get started, guys. Because yeah, we have. Let's make sure nobody's hurt or needs healing. We have 2 more battles left. There's no reason not to get started on it. But now we have all these bolt casters, which is kind of funny. You know, we have the 2 ninjas, we have Ian, we have Minto, and we have Max. This is the place of Lord Darksol's revival. Soon his revival will be completed. At that time, anyone who stands in his way will be powerless against him. Until then, Ian and his force must not be allowed anywhere near Lord Darksol. Mistress Mishila, even if Max is defeated, those guys pose no threat for you. Well, I won't be defeated, but I think Ian will give us more trouble than Max did. If by some chance they make it here, you must fight with all your strength. Ian being more troublesome than Max? You should not take Ian so lightly. He is a talented man, and will require extra attention when we deal with him. Don't think you know Ian so well, Mishila. Can't be. How did those guys get here? Thanks to Ian, I've been able to return to my old self. I'm sure you don't see how sweet Ian is. Sweet! Well, isn't this a surprise? It seems there's something you don't know about Ian yet, Max. 20 years ago, a prophet in Monarena gave your brother Cain a prediction. What? That prediction spoke of our reviving Lord Darksol. It is this very place. Cain didn't like the thought of that. He had a son and sent him away to defeat Lord Darksol. And that son was Ian. What the? Cain raised his son to lead a shining force just like you, his brother, led the shining force. His son was to follow in your footsteps. Ian, you are my older brother's son? I found out about this through Hassan's elders, and I was surprised too. Such a thing just can't be, can it? So there's a lot of theories to who Bowie, the protagonist of Shining Force 2, is descended from. Some people think it's Prince Nick from Shining Force Gaiden 1. There's a handful of people who think it's going to be Ian from Shining Force Final Conflict. Lord Darksol's revival is almost complete. Oh, this time, without a doubt, you fools shall not hinder the realization of our great dream. Sheila, you can't do that. I can't allow you to use Lord Xion's power in the revival of Darksol. Who's that? You're Oddeye. You're a devil just like me. Oh, could you have sided with those guys? You can try to hinder us all you like, but it will do no good. I'll risk my life to see Lord Darksol revive completely. Sheila, you need to wake up. Why are you going so far? You're just dazzled by Darksol's illusions. You're putting your life on the line here. Will that do you any good? We must protect Lord Darksol's dear child, Mephisto. Compared with that goal, my life isn't important. Ian, if it's like this, one man alone cannot defeat Mishila. Darksol's revival must be stopped. I'll join your party. And Oddeye, the devil, has joined the force. And yes, Mephisto's a reference to Shining in the Darkness. That's actually the Darksol you fight in Shining in the Darkness. That is what's debated. And I would say that's really a fitting element and way to develop this game's story. So I kind of go with that as the actual element. Now, Max is still in the party. Somebody got kicked out, I believe. Who got kicked out? Well, no, nobody got kicked out. He's just in the party. Never mind. For some reason, I thought he got kicked out. Somebody got kicked out here. Clearly, I was incorrect. So, much like any of the laser eye battles and all, or the laser eye, the battles where enemies can shoot projectiles at you, this is very much a semi-bum rush fight. You just want to get up there quickly and then kind of huddle everyone around together before it gets too crazy. Throw out some, ore level 1 or, ore level 2, and to kind of capture everybody here. Here's Oddeye. He's using the critical sword. His defense is 36, agility 22, movement is 6. So he's not that great. He doesn't really have any magic either. Yet he has MP, right? But he does, like Adam and some of the other specialty enemies, have a secondary attack option. But it is what it is. He's a free character, per se. And there are people who actually will grind characters like Oddeye and Max. And I did that in my evaluation, so you can see how well they perform. But yeah, there's a whole element to all of that. And depending on how you feel about it, people have different interpretations of, how to feel about all that. Me personally, I just, there's characters you can use. Yes, you can max out their stats if you really want, but do you have to is another story. Very, very much another story. As we're being introduced to Reapers. Now, with this fight, we want to conserve some of our magic, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll try to do our best with that in mind. But yeah, they're going to hit I shouldn't have moved her there. They're going to hit everyone in the row for about 10 to 12, even as much as 13 damage. Which means, hence why I got those healing items. I brought them with me. And every character should have at least one, with a few exceptions. That way, once we get to a position past this first little grouping of enemies are going to come down and fight us while we're fiddling around with some light healing. And we'll deal with that accordingly. There's going to be some elements to where we will want to bust out those healing items for characters who need them as they need it. But we should try to get everyone to a semi-safe position first. before we deal with anything else. And XP is not a thing in this fight. We don't care about levels. We don't care about any of those things. We care about survival. Because this is a 2-tier battle. So if you lose this, if you aggress from this battle, you unfortunately will have to repeat it. So you don't want to have to suffer through that repetition. So you always end up repeating this fight. So again, getting through the fight is more important than, you know, conserving MP, trying to level from it. Though this is the only battle you can level characters like Oddeye and Max, there is a reason not to make that the focus of this fight. It's not about doing that. We also have Healing Rain too, which I may also use. You notice I am looking for them right now. Just because I know enemies are going to come from the north, the flying units are going to start interfering here. And I don't mind if they come in and pick a little bit of a fight, but we do need to make sure that we get some healing going. To characters that need it. Yeah, that even wasn't a full heal. Nice. And yes, it hits the other enemies too, so that's why I don't mind it so much. Okay, we'll send Kiddo to deal with that. I'm not really coming down the left side that much, so there is a theory we could kind of gun for it and start power blasting those statues and hitting all the other enemies surrounding them. Might be in our best interest. Get anybody who's wounded off to the side and healed up in some capacity. And all of our heaviest hitters need to go up and start clearing plowing the road or clearing the road. Take that, you stupid dragon. Nice. How much damage there. So much damage. Some good healing. It's not gonna reach the enemies, but that's okay. There, you get to see Max get a kill. Nope. Pull him off to the side. Leave Ian there for now. Let's send out Oddeye as well. This is going to be bad for our ninjas, but hopefully they can survive. Totally did not think about the dragon. I totally forgot he was standing there. Oh, nice dodge. So now we just got to worry about the casting from the Mashila doll and what else may come of that. There is a chance, too, that Knuckles will get a turn, and he can run over there and heal Sasuke. Nice. That's fine. That's not fine. I was not hoping... I was hoping that that wouldn't be a thing, but it is. Might actually throw out a healing rain. It guarantees survival at this point. And it's either Cynthia or Ian, but I think that Mashila doll is gonna give one of our characters. And if that happens, I would just repeat the fight, really. Because we need Ruberin as much as we need anybody else. Yeah, we're throwing up a healing rain. When I hopefully get a chance, but I think okay. This could be very bad. Oh, no, we lost Sasuke. Yeah, we could probably go without him. Ruberin is a different story. If we lose another character before I can pull off a healing rain, then yeah. We will exit this fight. Clearly, I mistook. I had made error in judgment at some point. With them going on that side by themselves without a healer, without a dedicated healer. Okay, so we can throw out a healing rain now, and then I'm more confident with what I'm doing. I should have probably used Knuckles to have healed Sasuke earlier. And that's fine. We have so many bolt casters, it really doesn't matter. Who can all cast Bolt level 3 at least once. And the enemies are more relevant than the beam enemies. Let's do that. Aw, Ruberin, really? When I needed you not to fuck up, you fucked up. Ah! Send some help that way if we can. And that's okay. Nice dodge, nice counter. There we go. Now we can focus on the statues a bit more. You need to be careful because Mashila will eventually move. And I don't mind him so much. He's just burning his MP at this point. On things that aren't going to matter soon anyway. Pretty sure. Once I get a turn to evaluate... Oh, crap. That's a kill. Oh, no. Okay. So really got to focus on that right side there. Of beams. To ensure Minto doesn't go down. If I lose Minto, I'm going to be like, I'll redo this fight. Because I would hate to have to redo the fight because I lose two characters that shouldn't really have had that issue. And Max gets a level. We now have a path that we can send characters up. It's relatively safe. Now this is kind of bad because I don't have any healers up there, and I don't have a lot of character help aid. So this is a big risk. We're gonna fall back. I'll work on these statues instead and try to get those three of them healed better. More characters up front so we can get the fighting going. That's expected. She still might even be too close. Paige has the HP to handle some of this a bit better, and killing that Dark Shaman is going to be important. It's more of a guarantee. She remains relatively safe. Kiddo maxes out, meaning that every level after that is going to be very little, though he might get a little bit of a bonus being the entity that he is, but I wouldn't rely on that. That gives them a little buffer to go deal with Mishila. But, me... And Ruberin and can join soon. Let's put... Maybe we can keep her stalled out up here for a while. Okay. We know Cynthia is out of magic to heal with, so at this point it's going to be bum rushing Sheila. Really not in range of that? I guess not. If she blasts magic again, she'll probably kill Sonnet, so we'll move Cynthia out of there because we know she can't take another hit. Of course, Rubrine cannot reach, so if only I moved him a little closer. He's gonna get another turn unless I somehow luck out, and I did. Max is gonna kill Sheila. Finally, we'll get the kill anyway. That Max was kind of a little bit of an undecided MVP there. It seems I've been defeated. My magical powers are exhausted. I must cast away this life for at least sacrifice myself for you, Lord Darksol. Sheila sacrificed her life for Darksol's revival. Hey kids, guess who it is? Sheila's life has completed the revival of my powers. Now take a good look at the true form of Darksol, King of the Devils. Whereas Darksol was just kind of a second to last boss, you know, in Shining Force 1 we actually will fight a much crazier version of him here. Look over there, everyone. Darksol seems to have completed his revival. Prepare yourselves to defeat him. So there we are. I think we're short one person. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, yeah, I think we're short Suzuki, but that's okay. He gave his life, so we have a shot at this. So this fight, strangely enough, there's a good way to fight it and a wrong way to fight it. Or rather, there's an easy way to fight it and a hard way to fight it. Just depends on your interpretation. But here's the deal, guys. We have to stop here. So I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/HectorStudios for more live gaming action. Because when we come back, we get to the final conclusion of Shining Force Final Conflict. We'll see you there.